Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel, Jane Lorenzo.
Wait, what did you say?
Jane Lorenzo.
Have a good one.
You guys better subscribe and watch my friend on his YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of this week's episode of The Walking Dead on AMC, which is episode 5 of season 9, called What Comes After. So yeah, this is the big episode we were all sort of ready for, but not excited for, but afraid of, and just endlessly sort of debating and theorizing about how this final episode of Rick Grimes is going to go, and just how the whole Rick Grimes final episodes would pan out this season. And we finally seen it tonight. Wow. Okay, so I watched it on time. I took the day off work to watch it. Anyway, because The Walking Dead, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's meant a lot to me over the years. Really, it's probably one of my 2 favorite shows of all time. I'll do a video on that eventually. And it really helped to kickstart my love for television and just live action characters in a big way. So this episode is very important to me. Rick being the lead character all these years, and knowing these were Andrew Lincoln's last episodes. I was excited, yet dreading what they were going to do with this. I had seen a couple of the theories over the past month or so. Some a bit more violent than the others. So I was nervous. But I was also excited because despite what you think of The Walking Dead, they can still nail, sort of emotionally heavy episodes like this. I still think The Walking Dead's pretty good. My favorite seasons are still probably like 1 through 5 and such, but I thought 7 was fine and 8 was pretty good. 6 is probably my least favorite, but even that was fine. And I really like season 9 so far. But yeah, I don't see how you could be a fan of The Walking Dead like at any point and then dislike this episode, because this episode is probably one of the best I've ever done. Probably after this season, I'll have to do an updated video on my top 5 favorite episodes of the show. This one will probably be on it. So not only was I eager to see what they're going to do with Rick, but also we knew that Jon Bernthal was going to be appearing again as Shane, which is great. Jon Bernthal being one of my all-time favorite actors. We knew that Scott Wilson was going to be there as well. Sneakwa Martin Green, who I felt like Sasha didn't really have as much of a place in Rick's hallucinations as the others. I like what she said. I thought their dialogue together was meaningful and important. I just don't think Sasha was that much of an influence on Rick. I don't know. I feel like they could have done without it. But it was fine. Again, I still liked dialogue exchange between the two. But yeah, I just thought it was all great. You see Rick at the beginning, it was just brutal, him using his belt to pull himself off the rebar. I knew the walkers were closing in, but just seeing him, just seeing how deep it was into him and how far down on it he was, that part alone, then him getting on the, of course, white horse to narrowly ride off. He tries to hold up at a little cabin in the woods. And, the walkers eventually break into that, though, and he's pretty much just struggling to get back to Alexandria, or at least the bridge, throughout the episode. But before we get into more of that, I should probably talk about the Maggie and Negan stuff before I just slip into the Rick thing and forget about it. Which I shouldn't say that, because the Negan and Maggie stuff in this episode is really good as well. We know that Lauren Cohan's leaving this season, so at least until season 10, depending on some of how some of her other work goes. So I was happy that we got this meaningful moment between Negan and Maggie. With Negan sort of presenting himself as this, oh yeah, I enjoyed it, what I did to your husband, his, eye bulging out, and, Negan describing it, really trying to act like he's, still relishing in it. But then when Maggie, is ready to go in and, go for it, she wanted to bring him into the light, Negan just starts, breaking down and, kind of begging her to kill him. Like Maggie sort of said, he's not really Negan anymore. This is, kind of worse. And he talks about how at this point he just wants to be with his wife, and you can just see like everything is crashing down on him that he's probably been kind of thinking back on in his time there. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the rest of the people involved with the show have been teasing Negan's arc throughout the whole season. I think I remember reading an article saying that we're going to love Negan by the end of the season. I've always liked Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance. So I think I keep saying I really hope they go through his sort of redemption arc like they do in the comics. It looks like they're going to go that route on the show. And of course Michonne and Maggie standoff with Michonne, there wasn't really any way around it, especially when Maggie brought up what if it was Rick instead of Glenn. Michonne can't really argue with that. So she does let Maggie pass, but she seems equally as surprised that she comes out without blood on the crowbar or whatever. So I thought that was a really well acted scene between both of them, and I really can't wait to see the rest of Negan's story for this season. But now back to the Rick thing. My favorite part was probably him and Shane's conversation. We see them back in the police car, right when the series started, them eating burgers and fries. It's kind of funny seeing, because Rick's still looking like he does now, so you see his bloody hand pick up a fry, and but it was nice. I was really curious and eager to see how they're going to do this, because some people don't like Shane. They just think he's straight up like an asshole or something like that. But me, I've always seen the layers to the character and sort of the complex dynamic of what happened with him. John Bernthal is just excellent. But I've always been appreciative of how they've looked back on that in the series. I remember, within the last couple seasons, Rick told Michonne about Shane, expressing sort of his regret and how he still sees Shane as a friend now, and he knows the, Judith isn't his and everything. And so, there's a lot of remorse, or at least a lot of longing for, the relationship they used to have, and maybe if he didn't kill Shane, maybe there could have been a way back for him after all, you don't know. And so I was hoping they'd mix in sort of that. But yeah, at the same time, Shane, of course, would be in Rick's psyche, like, oh, he didn't keep them safe and stuff like that. But at the same time, I was hoping for a proper mix of sort of that kind of harsh push between the two, and at the same time sort of that sentimental regret and forgiveness type of thing. And they played on that pretty well here in that scene. John Bernthal is really on point. We've seen him as the Punisher for a while now, which he's, amazing. But it seems like John Bernthal really did a nice job going back to some of Shane's sort of mannerisms and, kind of way of speaking, the way he looks back and forth and stuff like that. Some of the old mannerisms he used to have, which is cool. And, them actually joking about the Judith thing. Don't you mean you're trying to find my family, essentially? And then, Shane says she has my eyes, I've been wondering, and then Rick says, yeah, she doesn't have your nose, and they both start busting out laughing. It was pretty funny. And it's not Shane, it's not like supernatural or something, it's not actually him, it's in Rick's head, so sort of going back and forth about how he'd want that to go again. But still, this is the closest we can get, and I do think there is room for them to sort of come back around to each other in a way, so I'm glad that's how they played on it there. Rick says, I'm sorry for what I did to you, and, Shane just says, you gotta forget that, kind of looks off into the distance, and that was cool. It couldn't be like quite as like emotionally breaking as it could, for being a hallucination, but I still thought it tapped into sort of a lot of different facets and points of what I wanted that conversation to be between the two. And also, Shane, expressing his admiration to Rick for sort of unlocking that rage in him that he always knew he had, to survive and, protect the people he cares about when he could. Biting the guy's throat out, it's cool seeing Shane talk about that, and, the red machete with, Gareth in the church and everything in season 5. That's pretty cool to hear him talk about as well. So that may have been a push for Rick to actually survive in this episode. So it was actually nice and full circle that Shane's actually the one that kind of helped him along there. Then you see throughout the other visions, you keep on hearing the people telling him to, wake up. At first encouraging him to maybe join them in a way, but, apparently it's not over yet. So, and the Herschel thing was pretty touching as well, of course. With Scott Wilson unfortunately passing away not too long ago, it probably even resonates more with people and hits them harder, and it did for me as well. We see him more clean shaven again, like Herschel was back in season 2, which is fine. They're at the barn. Of course, it's like a CGI background for the rest of the farm, because they're probably gonna just go back to that location and make it look like they did again entirely. So it was still fine. You kind of gotta let that go. But it was still a really great scene. Scott Wilson did a really nice job. To see the two, hug and everything, it was great. But yeah, and then the whole, when Rick actually does get to the bridge, he hallucinates, Daryl, Michonne, and the others kind of rushing out and, putting down all the walkers, and Michonne telling him, "We don't die, it's not over." Then you find out he was hallucinating them, the walkers are still coming, and he's getting near the bridge. Daryl and the others show up, but they're sort of off to the side on the ground near the bridge, so they can't get to him right away, and the walkers are slowly going over the bridge and everything, and a few of them start getting closer and closer to Rick. Daryl keeps shooting them away, but Rick's sort of just accepting what's about to happen, or knowing he has to find them, and then sort of sacrifice himself and do what he has to do here. And there's dynamite on the bridge, which I agree with some people. I don't know why there's dynamite just laying there. I don't know who left dynamite on the bridge, but it is what it is. The impact of this point of the story was worth it to me to overlook things like that. So Rick shares a few looks with Daryl before shooting the dynamite. Michonne's just rushing, she's horrified, she's panicking, but they all see the explosion go off, and Daryl just sort of, you can see the sadness in his face, and he sort of like walks away, kind of dragging. At this point they assume Rick was just kind of blown up. The rest of the walkers are close enough to, and the other walkers fall off into the water on fire and everything. So that was kind of a cool visual as well. And then we see the end of the episode that a lot of people are hoping for. Jada's communicating with some kind of group that's has this helicopter going around. I don't know if it's from the same one we've seen all these years, or it was supposed to be or not, but at least the one we've been seeing the past couple seasons. She sees Rick laying there, actually kind of still alive, but you don't really know for how long. He was probably blown into the river, and he washed up, of course. And it was, kind of full circle little arc for Jadis there. No matter what she does with the Gabriel now and everything, still to see her express that gratitude to Rick. He's strong and he saved me, so please save him. That was a good moment as well. And of course, they end up taking Rick, and leading into who knows what. But we do know something. Scott Gimple said on Talking Dead immediately after, they have a series of movies planned that's going to be told over the span of these next few years in the show. It'll be AMC original films, so they'll air on AMC, which I think is the smart choice. And they're going to tell Rick's story wherever community he goes to, and it's apparently going to involve like some other kind of sci-fi element as well, like a bigger idea, sort of bigger scope type of thing than what we're used to, a different corner of the world. That Scott Gimple's, or that Robert Kirkman's comics haven't really gone into as much. Maybe something to do with The Cure, maybe something exploring it again, I don't know. But either way, I can see it. Maybe if it's Rick in more than one film, I could see him sort of figuring it all out, sort of waking up, coming to, dealing with it a little bit. Second one, a little bit more of that. Then maybe by the third, even if Rick or Andrew Lincoln doesn't appear in the series again, they could tie it back in somehow, have the final Rick movie be sort of the end of The Walking Dead, the original series anyway, and maybe just have him reunite with Michonne, Daryl, and the others at the end of the last movie or something finally. But who knows, but still awesome. And of course, shooting movies for Andrew Lincoln is probably easier, at least with the time spent that you have to do it. Maybe they're even taking it to the UK or something, which will make it even more convenient. But still, it should be a bit easier on him, and he'll be able to spend more time with his family. So I think there's a really good compromise. So you don't lose the character and his importance in the story, you know, of the entire thing, and you know, he gets again more time with his family. So I think it worked out really, really well. But we shouldn't expect it until you know, a year or two. I think Scott Gimple said something about they'd be filming it next year, the first one. So, and there may be other movies that they do, or other sort of specials that involve apparently past characters potentially. I've seen something possibly about Abraham Dwight or something, who knows. But yeah, this is definitely a really good episode. Probably one of the best they've ever done. And now if Rick had died, it probably would have hit me even harder. So it's kind of odd to compare. They're like two different satisfactions. You get to see Rick go on into, you know, what's supposed to probably going to be a pretty exciting explored chapter. But at the same time, I would have been great to see it just kind of fully go with Rick's death. But overall, I'm happy they decided to let him live. Although they worked out something. And also the time skip we get right at the end of the episode, it confused me a little at first, because it sort of like pans over. I forget if there was more like a screen transition or something, probably, but then we see actress who played Luna on The 100, ironically. It's good to see her on this. But you know, we see her and her group, you know, they fight off some walkers as well as... but yeah, we end up seeing this grown-up Judith. You know, I'm Judith Grimes. She has the, you know, sheriff's hat and everything. She picks some of the walkers off on her own. So I guess the time skip is going to be like 6 years now, I guess. I don't know. But it confused me at first, so of course it made sense in saying Judith Grimes. So probably going to start interweaving that until the mid-season finale, and then maybe go into it in the second half, or maybe right in the next episode. I don't know. But still, that is a good scene as well. So overall, I'm giving this episode about 9.7, 9.9, probably just a 10 out of 10, somewhere in there. It was just great, and like I said at the beginning of the video, you can't have liked the show at any point and not found something worthwhile in this episode. If you ever cared about, liked it at all, you gotta admit, this is good. It was damn good, man. So let me know what you guys thought about it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.